Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Wynn Coleman, board member for the Rio Rancho Public Schools Board of Education. And today is Thursday, April 29th, 2021. This is the Audit Committee meeting. And I would like to welcome everybody, all of the members and anybody else that is watching and participating and watching the meeting today. If we could go ahead, Lori, if you would please do a roll call.
Yes. Wynn Coleman, Audit Committee Chair, Board Member.
Present.
Noreen Scott, Audit Committee Vice Chair, Board Member, Secretary, excuse me.
Present.
Dr. Sue Cleveland, Superintendent.
Present.
Kelly Wainwright, Community Member.
Present.
Seth Muller, Parent, Community Member.
Looks like Seth might have
him.
frozen. Here we go. And Seth, you're on mute.
Seth present. Sorry, my home Wi-Fi is giving me problems. Sparklight.
No problem.
Yeah. Arlene Manzanares, Executive Director of Finance.
Present.
Thank you, Lori. So this is our first meeting of this audit cycle, and wanted to just say just a special welcome to our community members of the committee, and that is Kelly Wainwright, who has been involved with the audit committee for a number of years now, and a new addition, Seth Muller, who is the emergency manager for Sandoval County. So welcome to both of you, and thank you for being a part of the committee. Now I'd like to move on and approve the prioritized agenda. Do I have a motion for approval?
This is Noreen Scott. I move to accept the prioritized agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, second from Seth Muller. Now, Lori, would you please take a roll call on that?
Yes. Wynn Coleman, Audit Committee Chair, Board Member.
Yes.
Noreen Scott, Audit Committee Vice Chair, Board Secretary.
Yes.
Dr. Sue Cleveland, Superintendent.
No, I'm not. I
You're
apologize.
on mute.
So I'm not sure now. Will that?
I'm an ex officio member, so
Yes.
I need to be included in the roll call. But thank you very much.
My mistake, I apologize.
Not a
Seth,
problem.
thank you. Seth Muller, Parent Community Member.
Yes.
Arlene Manzanares, Executive Director. Oh, my mistake. I'm sorry. Thank you.
And then did we get Kelly Wainwright's?
I vote yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now to move on to the business portion of our meeting. And I would like to turn this over for a discussion on audit services, explanation of options to Michael Madrid, Purchasing Director.
Thank you, Madam Audit Chair Coleman. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, audit committee members, Superintendent Dr. Cleveland. I'll be presenting two options for consideration by the Audit Review Committee to secure an independent public accountant firm, also known as an IPA. Just to give you a little bit of history, on February the 26th, 2019, the district issued an RFP for audit services, which referenced a term of 1 year with an option to extend for 2 additional 1-year terms. The upcoming year, it will be the last year that the audit contract can be extended. The current auditor that the district has contracted with is Accounting Financial Solutions. So I want to kind of just go through options that are available. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. So the first option is for the audit committee to recommend an extension for a one-year term with Accounting Financial Solutions. Should the audit committee make this recommendation, we'll present the recommendation to the board on May the 3rd, soliciting the board's approval of the audit committee's recommendation for extension of the contract. Should the board approve the audit committee's recommendation, we would upload contract information into the Office of the State Auditor's portal. We would include pricing, the type of contract, and other scope-specific information into their portal. A PDF copy of a contract will be provided. The district will take that contract. We'll start distribution of the information with Accounting Financial Solutions. Get their execution of the contract. The district will also execute the contract, and they will upload that executed contract into the Office of the State Auditor's portal, and they will review and give the district approval to enter into a contract. Should the audit committee recommend to resolicit the audit services, the district would initiate what's called an RFP. It's a request for proposal. Only those firms that have been identified as an independent professional audit firm are eligible to submit a response to the solicitation. So I kind of want to just go through the sequence of events on a particular RFP, or on a typical RFP, I should say. We would publish a legal notice in the paper. We would upload the procurement information into the district's webpage on the procurement site. We would have a link to vendor registry. Within vendor registry, we would actually have the RFP solicitation information. We would also go into the commodities and identify the commodities that are applicable to this procurement. And vendor registry will send out an email notification of the procurement to all registered vendors, letting them know that the solicitation is now available for participation. As part of the sequence, after the legal notice and the information is uploaded to the webpage, we would establish a deadline for questions. This period is typically 7 to 10 days after the publication. Then we would establish a deadline for posting of addenda, which is a response to the questions that the district received. And this is typically 2 days after the deadline for questions. Then we would establish a deadline for submission of proposals. And this is typically 4 days after the posting of the addenda. The evaluation committee would receive instruction and copies of the proposals at an initial meeting. At this initial meeting, we would talk about the role of the evaluation committee members. We would discuss the evaluation criteria. We would provide them templates that they would use to score the proposals, that they would put their notes on the proposals. And we would just provide just overall instructions, just ensuring that each of the committee members is comfortable with their role in evaluating the proposals. Roughly 7 days to possibly 10 days, depending on the number of responses the district receives for the solicitation, we would actually sit down and score the proposals. We would put together a ranking of the proposals. We would actually shortlist them. And then we would discuss, does the committee want to recommend award based on the highest ranked offerer, or do they feel that the proposals are so competitive that we could benefit from an interview scenario? If the committee decides to solicit the interviews, we would establish a list of questions. We would establish a point criteria for those questions. Then we would conduct the interviews. The interviews would be roughly 7 days after the committee scored the proposals. The committee would sit down almost immediately after the interviews, and we would discuss the interviews. We would score the interviews, and then we would take those scores and add those to the initial evaluation scores to come up with a final ranking and recommendation. Based on that scoring criteria and the ranking, we would make a presentation to the board indicating that this is the recommendation of the audit committee, and be available for any questions. And that is typically the process that we would take. You have the two options: extending the initial contract. We do have that 1-year term that's still available to us. Or if the audit committee decides to resolicit, we can go that direction as well. Any questions on the information presented?
Yes, I have a question. Do we have any problems with the current vendor?
Arlene, do you want to help assist with that answer?
Definitely. Secretary Scott, Madam Chair Coleman, Audit Committee Chair Coleman, I should say, and Dr. Cleveland and Audit Committee members. My name is Arlene Manzanares, and I'm the Executive Director of Finance. We've been using accounting and financial solutions for the last couple of years. And to answer your question, Noreen, we have not had any issues. In fact, we feel that we're kind of just getting to know each other. It takes a while, about a year and a half, maybe, when you're working with new auditors, for them to get used to you and you get used to them. And one thing that I want to share with everyone is that the current auditors are just so helpful, and they're always available, which is really, really, we think is so important to our office. Not just myself, but all of the staff. Any one of us can call the auditors at any time for assistance with anything or advice, and they're always willing to explain things to us. They have just been so very helpful throughout the whole audit process, and with anything throughout the year, whether we're going through the audit or not. So to answer your question, Secretary Scott, we do not have any issues, and we do recommend that we extend the contract an additional year.
Madam Chair, will you entertain a motion at this point?
Yes, we can do that. And then if there's a second, and then we can open it up for discussion or input once we go through that. Yes.
Madam Chair, I move that we continue with the 1 more year extension with the current audit committee. I'm sorry, the company, the current audit company. That was a tough one.
We might have been voted out. And then do I have a second, please?
Seth Muller, community member, I'll second.
Okay, thank you, Seth. And then I'd like to open it up for discussion. And if I may start, if I could ask Dr. Cleveland's insight and input on this.
Well, I would definitely defer to the executive director, and in terms of, they have the closest working relationship, and so I would certainly think there's no reason not to do the 3rd year. It does take a while to get to know each other and to learn how to work back and forth. I would, though, at the end of next year, I would very much like to open it up and look and see who's out there. I think there's some advantages, and I think this is what finance had said last time. There's advantages sometimes to a new eye and looking at things. I think they work very well with finance, and so it's not in any way to be perceived as a criticism, because it's not. But I certainly think going 1 more year, especially given everything that we've been through this year, and getting into a new audit team right now would not, I don't think, would serve the district well. So I support Arlene's recommendation to you.
Thank you, Dr. Cleveland. And I will open up if appropriate, and if not, please let me know. But if there's anybody that has had interactions additionally with the audit group, I will voice my observation in that when I sat on the audit committee, I worked with the previous company and with this company that we have right now. And I have been, from what I have seen, I've learned more, received more information. And so I would support staying with the current company. So, okay. Mr. Baker, were you going to?
Yes. Yeah, Madam Chair, I just wanted to really echo what Arlene stated and what Dr. Cleveland stated. I agree with both. And so I've also been, working with them, not nearly as much as the finance department, but I found the group to be very interactive. They've looked at a lot of the areas within our district that, to be honest with you, I did not expect. I thought they did a thorough examination of our district. They, as Arlene said earlier, they were very responsive to a number of our questions that we had. So I concur with all of the above.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Lori, then would you please take a vote on the recommendation to continue with the current audit company?
Yes. Wynn Coleman, Audit Committee Chair, Board Member.
Yes.
Noreen Scott, Audit Committee Vice Chair, Board Secretary.
Yes.
Kelly Wainwright, Community Member.
Yes.
And Seth Muller, Parent Community Member.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'd like to move on to C, schedule for the 2021-22 Audit Committee meetings. And that will be discussed and presented by Arlene. Arlene, you are muted.
Thank you. I am a dollar, Dr.
There's the dollar.
Put a dollar in the jar. Okay, start over. Thank you, Audit Committee Chair Coleman. So I just would like to go over briefly the schedule of during the audit process. So as Michael Madrid stated previously, we will take this recommendation to the board for approval on May the 3rd. Once the board has approved that, then we will submit the application to the state auditor's office and upload the contract into the state auditor's online application. The next step is once the state auditors have approved the application, then we can schedule the entrance conference. Now, the entrance conference and every other meeting, which would be once a month during the audit process, will be closed session audit committee meetings. And usually the state auditor's office takes approximately about a week to a week and a half after we've submitted the application to them. So I feel that we could schedule our audit entrance conference mid-May. So probably around the 14th or anytime after that. And then we could schedule June through September once a month. And again, those would be closed meetings. Then in October, that date would need to be determined, but it would also be a closed exit conference with just the audit committee. And that would be right before the auditors are ready to submit our audit to the state auditor's office. Then once the state auditor has approved our audit, then the accountants will present the audit to the board at the board meeting.
Thank you, Arlene. So I will open it up to any questions. Anybody's input?
I believe that we have this on the, I think we have this on the 10th, May the 10th, rather than the 3rd. Is that incorrect, Arlene? Do we need to have it on the 3rd for any reason?
I'm sorry, Dr. Cleveland, I was under the impression that it was going to the special board meeting on May the 3rd.
Okay. We can clarify that. That's not a problem.
Okay.
President Galbraith has asked that we keep that meeting within 30 minutes. And so that we've already cut into the finance committee meeting. And so she's asked, but I think we're bringing the RFPs forward for the HVAC. And I would think we can easily stay within the 30 minutes. Is that your take?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Then we'll make sure it's on the 3rd.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the clarification. I would like to just ask if everybody is okay for this time once a month on a Thursday. I know that Seth, that was kind of with your schedule what worked, so you could attend the meetings. And so Thursdays at 4:30 once a month, is that okay to go ahead and do for everybody?
I'm thinking I'm for it most of the time.
That should work for me. The only catch, if we're doing like the end of the month, June 22nd through July 7th, we're planning a vacation to go back to Boston.
And the end of May, I am going to be out of town, but I can join via phone.
Yeah, I could log in. If we do it virtually, I could log in
Oh,
from
and
anywhere.
I believe that we can go ahead and work those things out. I mean, if
So-
we're looking at the entrance meeting on the 14th of May, then we could just move that, then the next one out into June. Do it mid-June. Kelly, how would that work? Oh, sorry, Arlene.
May I suggest that starting in June, maybe we could schedule them the 3rd Thursday of every month? Would that work for everybody?
Yes.
Yes. Kelly?
Yes, third Thursday looks good for me.
Okay. Good. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get that scheduled and send invitations to everybody. So, okay. Now, is there any other business that needs to be discussed? Okay, well, at this point then, we're looking at May 13th, I believe it is, which is a Thursday for the entrance conference, and then the 3rd Thursday at 4:30, starting June through at least September at this point. And an invitation will go out for everybody. So I just want to thank everybody for attending the meeting. If there's not anything else, then I will call this meeting adjourned. So thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Everyone.